Yeah, gotta get that protein in. Let's be honest, guys. Gen Z, even before we talk about Gen Alpha, we're already kind of cooked. Or people would, I think, more likely say that, to put it in a more specific terminology, that Gen Z, for the most part, has much worse mental health, is less focused, less productive than previous generations, right? You kind of started to see the start of it with millennials, but with us, with Gen Z, you and me, most likely, I'm believing, you're a Gen Z watching this, because I don't really know. I don't really know why millennials or anyone older. I mean, if you want to, that's cool. But just looking at some, very basic data, you can see that we're not doing as good in terms of mental health, financially, basically in every metric. We're doing worse. We're doing way worse for boomers and baby boomers. They were chilling, the regular way of life, everything was good. Now things are way different. We're in this digital age. We're the first generation to grow up on social media, on technology, right? On actual modern technology. I'm not talking about the millennials who grew up on they got to see the first iPhone when they were freaking 14 years old. I'm talking about, we're growing up with actual internet. Not the prehistoric age of internet. We're in the real internet age, and things are just progressing further and further, right? We grew up in a time where the video games, the graphics, everything was 10 times more stimulating than it was 10 years before that, right? So the development was essentially, the modern development was happening as we're growing up. And what's interesting with Gen Alpha is, with all the problems that Gen Z has, and we can talk about that for a long time, Gen Alpha has it even worse, right? And every other generation after is going to have it even worse, because the technology that they're growing up on is the technology that we have now. And even though we did grow up on modern technology, it wasn't to the same caliber as nowadays. The type of content, the amount of content, the amount of devices, the stimulating forms of digital entertainment that they can get is more than when we were kids. And I remember I have videos of me and my siblings on, we're on the iPads, you just freaking, we're mindless, on these iPads and stuff. Me playing Mario Kart when I'm 5 years old. I don't even know what 2 plus 2 is. And I can recognize that this is Mario Kart and I'm playing on Coconut Mall. So you can see how even though it wasn't as developed as it is today, we still grew up on very advanced technology. Now, when you move to what Gen Alpha is growing up on, it's it's beyond, bro. We're looking at modernity. We're looking at advanced, okay? We're next level with this. We are next level. We did not have scrolling. I mean, kind of did, but you didn't have short form. You didn't have Cocomelon and all that bull. You didn't have any of that. So even though I think it is still, the growing up on it has still been the cause of so many problems for Gen Z, I think it's just going to only get worse, especially as Gen Alpha, all these kids get older. I wanted to tell a story that my friend at the gym, he told me to tell this. That would be funny to tell us in a video. Not funny, but it is kind of funny. But it is also kind of sad. And I was like, yeah, I'll just tell it in a unscripted video. That was literally, he's talking to me about this today. He works at a sushi restaurant. And he said that there was this family that came in, a family of 5. Right? They have these 3 kids, I think it was 3 boys. And, they're sitting down at the table. And he looks over and he sees that every single one of the kids not only is scrolling, but at the same time, each of them have their own Nintendo Switch that they're playing on. I don't even think they're playing together. They're playing separately on their own specific. Like every kid has their own Nintendo Switch playing separately while scrolling at the same time, while also eating at the same time. They're getting the triple dopamine, bro. They're getting the trifecta. No, I didn't even think of that, bro. They hit the three-peat with the triple. That is crazy. They're in that triple threat with the dopamine. But their parents as well, this is the crazy part, their parents were playing like mobile games on their phone while their kids were doing that. And he said they were not even communicating, talking with each other. It was just games, scroll, eat. That was the entire thing. Like they're not even talking, communicating. And he said at one point he went over to hand food to one of the kids. And he's holding out the plate, like waiting for the kid to grab it. And the kid doesn't look up. And also doesn't register when his mom tells him, like, grab the plate, and he's just locked in, like he's that dialed in to the Nintendo Switch or was scrolling or whatever it was that it took like his mom. He said to literally like go like this, like snap in front of his face. And he was saying that these kids were about like probably 12. I would say probably like 10, 12 years old, whatever. Like from like ranges, maybe a little bit older, a little bit younger. I don't really know what the ranges were for all three of the kids. But that is next level. Like we're on next level shit. Like it's getting out of hand. You can't even like make this up. Like you couldn't even imagine this. Like 5 years ago, whatever, this is not like a thing. This is only recently, I feel like, going to become more and more and more common. Where you see these families that aren't even communicating, they're just scrolling and playing video games literally out in public while you should be, doing something like eating, that for thousands and thousands of years, all we've done when we eat is eat with the people around us in our tribe and our family and communicate and like have fun. And it's like, that is all out the window. It's not even communicating anymore. It's just you eat your own food while you scroll. I can't like imagine what it's going to be like for those kids to grow up, how hard it's going to be for them. Not only they're focused, they're literally like diagnosing themselves with ADHD just by absolutely cooking their dopamine receptors and absolutely cooking their like brain development, because there's no way they're learning, and there's no way that if they're doing this in a restaurant, there is no way in school or at home doing homework they're even focused. They're constantly probably thinking about other things, brain fog. At home, they're probably just scrolling away. How are you going to develop if you are constantly lost in this online world? For us, I feel like it was bad, but not that bad. Like we were at the point where it was getting pretty bad, and now we see the consequences for our generation. A lot of us got mental health problems. A lot of us aren't productive. We feel like, we scroll all the time. We don't even want to, but we still do it. And it's so hard to break out of this cycle. It's because it's ingrained into us. This is our life. I've been on video games since I was like 5 years old. So you have to understand that for the next generation, it's like 3x that, what we had. So are they going to be 3 times worse than we are? Look, I think this question is kind of obvious. And the way I phrase it is even a little bit brain rot in itself. But is Gen Alpha cooked? Honestly, yeah. I think people like to... I've seen these memes and people always point to it where it's like, oh, what do you mean? Like nowadays it's the same as it used to be. Remember like back when we were in 5th grade, it was Knuckles like, and like, people always point out that like the memes, like the brain rot was always there. And yeah, it kind of was, but you can't really compare it. Like today, nowadays, whatever, it's like, I swear, there's no way I thought I would ever say this in a video. But like nowadays, it's like Skibbity Toilet and like Ohio Riz. Like what, this is new territory, okay? This is different. Like back in the day, yeah, it was weird. And yeah, we were on some interesting stuff, with the memes and with the online culture, but it's different. It is different. And if you say it's not, honestly, you're deluding yourself. It's not the same. Things are more, even with like Skibbity Toilet, that is an actual like show. Like beyond the meme, There are people that actually watch that, like kids that are actually watching that. That is not what it was before. Like the Uganda Knuckles meme, that was literally it. Like that was you just had the meme. There was no show to go along with that, right? There was no, the brain rot ended there with the meme. Nowadays you aren't just like saying things. It's developed into something more potent, something more stimulating that you can. It's almost become like, instead of just a little meme or just something that you say or like think about once, it's just become part of these memes and stuff. They didn't really become a part of your vocabulary or your life, but it's almost become integrated so much into people's lives. I think way more than it was back like 5 years ago, 10 years ago, whatever. Right? The memes and the online culture, it's different. People like to say it's the same. It's not. I don't know exactly what it's going to look like. None of us really do. But I think we can all agree, when these kids are growing up, it doesn't seem good right now. And if it does not seem good right now with what you see outside, and I've seen just, it's not like, sometimes it's not horrible. Sometimes it's just surface level brain rot. Like, it's just normal online behavior. But when you are getting to like, you see people outside that are doing something where you should be communicating with each other. It's like a public place. You're with your family, and they're immersed in this other world, this screen. You can only imagine how bad it's going to be as they get older. Like, if their parents are doing that, and they didn't even grow up on it, imagine what it's going to be like, how potent it is now, growing up on it. Imagine what their focus is going to be like, how hard it's going to be for them to solve problems, how hard it's going to be for them to do anything for like longer than 5 minutes, how hard it's going to be for them to learn something. It's kind of scary, and people, it's a meme where people say Gen Z is going to have to run the world one day, and that kind of immediately instills like this "oh no" into you, which is not a good thing. It kind of shows where we are as a generation. And then when I say Gen Alpha is going to run the world someday, that's like, oh no. I know we're all kids and we're all young right now, and we're all in like our teens and our 20s. But as we get older, you're going to have to either step out of this like instant gratification cycle that you've been living in since you were a child, or you're going to stay in it for the rest of your life. How you live now is how you're going to live later, and if you don't make the change soon, the longer it goes on, the harder it's going to be to break away. And if you just think about, not even yourself, but your kids that are going to be that, I don't even know, what would it be, Gen Beta? Like, think about that. It's just going to get worse and worse. And the only thing that you can do is try to prevent it and help your kids when it gets to that point. And you cannot be at the level that those parents were in that sushi restaurant. If you are like that, your kids are going to turn out like their kids, right? I'm not trying to like bag on them, like be like, oh, like it's horrible parenting. It is bad parenting, but it's almost like, yeah, this is the world we live in, and that's almost what's accepted and what is becoming normal, and that's just crazy. Is that not crazy? Like dystopian. That's what my friend was saying. This is like some dystopian shit. It's weird. It's really weird how you can sit at a table and eat food but not communicate with your whole family that's sitting next to you. It's dystopian. It really is. It's not natural. It's not how it should be, but it's how it is. And I know I kind of had this idea of making this type of video for a while, and I'm going to be posting a lot more on this channel. Like, actually, I'm going to take a sip of some protein. I'm going to be posting on this channel more. I'm going to try to post maybe every day, every other day, something like that, just to get some like reps in, talking to the camera, making different videos that I'll probably not be putting on the main channel anymore. That's going to be more, I'm going to make it a little bit more stylized, a little bit more of a cinematic storytelling approach. Well, not a little bit more, a lot of more. And that's going to be really what the main channel is about now. Is I want it to be cinematic storytelling, and then I'll have some videos here and there that are just kind of raw, almost like this, but a little bit more planned and thought out. These I just want to get like ideas and videos and talking points out there. And not all of them are going to be super important or are going to be super helpful. But I want to post more on this channel, and I want to get reps in, and I want to, I want to talk and make videos. And I want to practice. So yeah, that was a little tangent there. Getting back to what we were talking about. It's, when it comes to you and me, and you look at the other generations, like I was saying, your kids, you're going to have to be very, very careful about this, because the way that you, honestly nowadays, this is everything, the way that you introduce them and raise them with technology is going to determine so much for the rest of their life. I know I and maybe you were able to sort of break out of this cycle by realizing, hey, like this is really, really bad, and there's no way I'm going to live the rest of my life like this. And maybe you still are, you're watching these videos, whatever, you're still watching YouTube content, you're still like scrolling a bit. But it's like, at least we know. And think about how difficult it is for you. That's how much more difficult, like it's going to be like 3 times more difficult for the kids that are growing up now, that are having their childhood now, which is, it's crazy like to think about that. Like for how hard it is for us to get away from these bad habits like corn, like scrolling and video games and junk food. It's going to be way harder because these things are getting more manufactured and perfected to be more and more stimulating. It's going to be 3 times, 4 times harder for them than it is for us. And I think just knowing that, it should be apparent to you that, in a way, even though we are unlucky being the first generation to get raised on this, and you could say lucky because it has changed everything in the world. It's all we've known, but we are the first generation, and we are the first of many. So it's only going to get harder for them here on out. So it starts with us. It starts with us taking a step away and moving away from the degenerate instant gratification lifestyle that the modern world throws at you. Because, let's be honest, everything nowadays is about comfort and is about pleasure and is about making you feel good, and it makes you stationary. I can give you so many examples. You can give yourself so many examples in your life. It's things that people talk about all the time. I mean, like scrolling, was this made to help you? No, it was made to distract you. It was made to keep you on these apps longer. Junk food that gets more and more is just getting manufactured, and more locations are popping up. Was it made for you, or was it made for convenience and for not for your health, but so that you could feel good while eating it, and it can give you this big dopamine rush in your head? Like, none of these things were made actually to help you or to better your life. They were all made to take away from it. Because what they take away from you, that's a gain for them. That's a gain for the company. They get money, and they get your time and your energy, and you get this short-term pleasure. And if you're going to live the rest of your life like that, then fine. If that's how you decide to live your life, fine. But if you're at the end of this video, I can imagine that's not how you want to live your life. If you want to live the rest of your life this dopamine filled, like, oh, I'm scrolling all day. Like, when you're still an adult, bro, this is cringe. This is cringe. Think about it. There are, and I'm not going to say you can't do this or you can't do that at all. Like, obviously, you'll probably watch some shows and some movies as as you're still older that you're going to really enjoy. You're probably going to, you might even be able to control and play a limited amount of, like, video games when you're older. But if you're totally letting it control your life as you get into like your 20s and 30s, bro, it's going to get sad. It's going to get real sad. And you know it. And when you're like 40s, 50s, at that point when our generation is getting there, if you're still addicted to these things and to this like modern lifestyle, there's almost no going back at that point, and you're cooked. That's that's to put it very eloquently. You're cooked. That's the point that you don't want to get to. And that's kind of the when people ask, is it Gen Z cooked, is whatever, you can't really tell yet. Things are bad right now, but it's all about how things pan out later in our lives as we become adults. And that's almost starting right now. And if most of us don't break away, which, let's be honest, not a lot of us are going to, or I hope a lot of us do, but as we get into our 20s and 30s, like, this is the pivotal point. If we are not breaking away at this age, the chances of us breaking away later get so much lower, because that's just been your life for 20, 30 years. When people believe something for 20, 30 years, do you think it's easy to change their beliefs? It's not. That's why old people, grown-ups, changing the way they think, their limiting beliefs and mindset, it's so difficult. You got to realize that all these future generations, when we talk about it, like Gen Alpha, Gen Z, we are the first ones. This is the best you're gonna get it in terms of growing up on social media. Maybe one day in the future, we're gonna be better as a society, as a world, and we're gonna be able to control it better, and we're gonna have more functioning, stronger society. But as of right now, things look like they're only gonna get worse for the kids that are growing up in this present day. And in the future, as more and more kids are growing up and getting out of their childhood, they're going to have problems. And I think it's only going to get worse. So as the basically starting generation, we have to set a precedent. Like, if you are not going to be breaking away from it, you basically failed in helping future generations. And not only that, you failed when it was basically the easiest. I know it's not easy, but think about it. It is the easiest that it's probably ever going to be. No matter what, content and all this is going to keep going in one direction. And, there's a chance that there's parts that can turn back and things that are, more and more companies or more and more farms and stuff that are going to be doing all this and like the good stuff. But most of the industries seem like they're going in one way. And all the kids that are growing up now and in the future are going to have it harder than you. So, yeah, it's difficult. But you know that it is so worth it to make the change and take the effort to get away from it. And you are going to regret it if you don't. Like, come on, bro. Let's keep it a stack. You know it. As always, actually, wait, before I say it. I want to kind of have this, I talked a little about it before, but this channel, and I know I've gone on a little bit, yapped a little bit. That's what it's for, this channel. I think my goal, I'll explain it a little bit more, is to see if repetition with these videos brings any form of like engagement. I want to basically try out the idea in my own life of repetition negates luck. So that's what I'm going to be doing. Like I said earlier, I think I'm going to try to post every day on here. But yeah, so I don't know. Look forward to that. Maybe don't look forward to that if you don't care about these. But I'm going to try to bring some good advice. This is more like a commentary type video on things that are going on in our society. But they're not all going to be like that. Some of them are going to be straight up stories. Some of them are going to be actual just advice on certain topics. Some of them are going to be longer. Some of them are going to be shorter. You'll see. So I just wanted to say that. And as always, never stop improving. You'll be grateful for it later.